Hi, everybody. Today I have the pleasure to have with us Roland Kraut. Roland is the Vice President of DKSH for the Division Personal Care. So nice to meet you, Roland.
Hello, Silvana.
Hello. Okay, let's speak about business. So DKSH business personal care industry is a leading distributor of personal care products and cosmetic ingredients. So can you briefly illustrate for which applications in particular?
Well, basically, our business is very broad and very deep. We are not only focusing on personal care, cosmetics, but even as a part of personal care, we also take care of the household. Our focus, however, is more on the high-end raw materials, supporting color cosmetics and skincare mainly. And this is actually being done with the 15 innovation centers we are operating all around the world.
Okay, so maybe you can give us more details about your company's target markets. So in terms of market size, market segments, and market trends. So you were mentioning briefly, so if you can extend the explanation.
Well, we are working in North America. We are working in Western Europe, but of course our prime market historically as DKSH has always been Asia, and of course as such a very large share of our operations is taking care of all the Asian countries. As said, we are very much operating in the skincare, color care area, whilst of course in Asia also operating in home care and let's say the rinse of applications. Of course, overall in all these countries in Asia, we are targeting growing markets, and all of them are growing. So it's very hard to say which one is the best. But also in North America and also Europe, we are really targeting the high-end cosmetics, and as such, this is the area where we are feeling ourselves being most competent.
Oh, good. Thanks. So everywhere, DKSH is everywhere with a good portion of the market.
Absolutely. Well, we're not taking care of South America. We're not operating in Eastern Europe or Russia, but the rest, and nothing in Africa and Near East.
For now, till now.
For now, you never know. Yeah.
Okay, so just let's speak briefly about COVID-19 emergency. In particular, I would like to ask these questions. So the today's supply chain in cosmetic personal care is extremely dependent from China, especially for raw and starting material. What would you say that there will be a trend to return to some local manufacturing site? What do you think about it?
Well, first of all, I would really question that the entire cosmetic world is so depending on China in terms of supply chain. I would say for pigments, dyes, that's definitely a center of expertise and also production, which is backlogged in China. And there are, of course, in the fine chemistry, other very strongholds. If we look in general in personal care, I would say we are pretty much globalized. If you look into surfactants, basically you find sources all over the place. With the consequence now of COVID and the learning, I would say we might feel that the one or the other company might have the urge to open a second source somewhere else or elsewhere in the world. And we already see some activities shifting from China towards India. But in general, as said, typically personal care is already very, very globalized also in terms of the sources. Just to give you a flavor, so far we have been able to source materials almost from everywhere in the world when we saw a backlog or a shortfall from a Chinese supplier. And this really supports that almost all raw materials are available somewhere else despite of China. So I don't really see a very strong urge outside of the pigments and dyes sector.
Okay, yeah. We will see. We will see. There is a big movement in this direction. we will say. Just going back again to COVID-19, I mean, do you estimate some consequences of this emergency for for your industry in the long and the short run? What do you think?
For sure, yes. I would say typically personal care is very resilient to crisis, as we all know. This typical little escapes in a time of a crisis where people do not have the money to spend for large items like cars or something like that, is replaced by spending small money for personal care items. This time, of course, the impact is very heavy, very broad. And as such, I would say that we will see an impact. Short term, very clear, lack of duty-free business is showing up that many high-end cosmetics, which are typically being sold through these markets, are really trying to find an outlet. We will see that this is currently impacting many producing entities. And of course, as such, also all suppliers towards that industry, because we can't just get rid of that materials. There is no demand. People are wearing masks. People are staying at home. For that, there is no reason to color oneself, to make oneself very pretty. And as such, I think, yes, short term, we will see these consequences. Long term, I would say long term, we will see much more diversification of sales channels and also communication channels into the digital end. We have seen this as a reaction of the crisis, very short term, with a very strong push. But we also saw that in the sales channels, the ones which were very much depending on the traditional sales, door-to-door selling, duty-free selling, are now making huge losses. This, for sure, will trigger a reconsideration in the marketing departments of these companies, whether this would be the only leg on which they want to be standing for the future. And I would foresee that we will see movements towards making their sales activities much more resilient towards these crisis scenarios.
Yeah, that's another story. We know everybody, I mean, is very familiar with this problem, but we are confident in some, let's say, months to start with the traditional way of selling. But of course, as you said, we have to take care of the new capacity of the digital support. So a lot of things will change in any case. Okay, so Roland, it was a pleasure to talk to you. You have been very clear, very fast, so I appreciate it very much. And I wish you all the best to you, to your family, to your friends, and of course, stay well. Ciao.
Same to you. Ciao. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to talk to you. Hope to talk to you very soon again.
Thanks. Me too. Ciao.
Ciao. Grazie.